Online dating is now the most common way young people connect, but now some of those apps are working to increase diversity and inclusion. We'll show you how. Welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Aaron Dean. A fifth grade teacher in Florida is now under investigation for showing a Disney movie in class. Jenna Barbie played the 2022 animated movie Strange World to some of her students. The movie features a biracial gay character. The state's so-called Don't Say Gay law initially only applied to kids in kindergarten through the third grade, but it was recently expanded to include high school students. Florida's Don't Say Gay law bans instruction about sexual orientation and gender identity in the classroom. One parent reported the teacher to the Board of Ed.
They've questioned me and they've questioned students, and now the DOE is coming this week to question students more because I guess I'm under investigation from the school board and the DOE. So it's two different things going on at the same time. It's just a mess. This was not even a topic that my students even noticed or cared about because it's already an accepted topic in the classroom. Just like how Ms. Rodriguez said, those doors are open. Those doors are not something that's new in this public education system. The students have one-to-one devices. They're able to have access to all this information already. So this is a common theme that is talked about already. So it was not thought anything of until it got brought this much light and this much attention.
Barbie had previously submitted her resignation from the school because of the politics in the public school system. Greg Mathis Jr. might be known for his role on Mathis Family Matters, but the star is using his background as a former DC insider to be an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community and for those living with HIV. That's why he's on the cover of the May-June issue of HIV Plus. He shares how coming out publicly has given him the chance to fight for others. His uncle Steve passed away from HIV and cancer complications, propelling Mathis to become an advocate. Visit HIVplusmag.com for the profile. Well, queer dating can be difficult these days, but the power of inclusion can bring people together, and dating apps are promoting diversity and acceptance for those users. I spoke to one dating app founder about the future of online dating and how his app helps people achieve something meaningful. So when we talk about the future of gay dating and relationships in America, how do you think this app will help shape that? Especially now, like you said, it's going to be focused more on genuine connections and not the superficial ones that another one does.
Yeah. Look, I think that there's always a need for different types of apps, depending on how you feel, right? If you want something fun and exciting right now, there's an app for that. And I think a lot of people have used that app and have been successful for getting that thing. Unfortunately, if your goal is a long-term relationship, you need to slow it down and get to know a person. And so there aren't very many apps, especially for our community, that let you do that. So I'm very bullish. I'm very excited about this concept of matchmaking because you can still use all those other apps while you're also getting matched. And what's cool about this is you have a professional coach. You have a matchmaker who's sitting down with you, who's getting to know all your fears, all of your desires, all of your needs, and scouring literally the country or your city to find the most compatible match for you. And then they set you up on blind dates. Ooh. No judgment, just bliss. So I'm very excited about that. But I would say in terms of how apps in general for our community are changing, I think the transactional approach to dating for the heterosexual community and in our community has kind of gone out the window in some way. And that's because this new young generation, Gen Zers, they're more out than ever before. They're more out than other generations. They are less discreet, perhaps, than other generations, and they're looking to find their own community within our community. So what we're seeing is a lot of the traditional dating apps becoming communities where there are different groups, different discussions, whether it's tech or it's running or it's politics. So you can find your people within the gay community and then go off and form those relationships.
And so when it comes to things like diversity and inclusion within the LGBTQ community and matchmaking services in general, how does the company plan on doing that as you all continue to evolve?
Yeah, so I can speak for S'more. We always started our company with a team that was diverse, because to me, as a gay person working in a very, very heteronormative industry, 95% of these founders are white Caucasian guys, which is great, but also doesn't represent everyone on these apps. So I really wanted to make sure that for S'more, our founding team was extremely diverse, and it is. In terms of Talkify, where we are today, I'm so excited because we have so many diverse matchmakers that literally represent every single niche group of people, whether you're a transgender man, a transgender woman, you're bisexual, you're gay, you're lesbian, you're fluid. We have someone from that community. And it is so cool to be speaking with someone who really gets you, gets where you came from, gets your baggage, and helps you remove these blocks in order to find love. It really, truly is the coolest thing.
That does sound amazing. So let's get into it, okay? We talked about the 411 for, those of us who know what that means.
Yes.
So let's spill the tea a little bit, okay?
Good.
So tell me a little bit. Do you have a favorite matchmaking story that your company has facilitated that you want to share?
Yes, I do have one. So this is when I was at S'more running our app. This was in 2020, so at the sort of the beginning of COVID. So we launched our app, and then the world shut down and everyone was at home, right? And you can't really meet people in the real world. So everybody was, locked into their house. But really what was cool about that, I think the silver lining of COVID, people were forced to have real conversations with people. I was living in New York City. Unless you lived in the building, you couldn't even go into someone's house. The concept of casual encounters was just not a thing anymore. So on the S'more app, we had one lesbian woman who was living in El Paso, Texas. She found our app from an Instagram ad, and she says, what the hell? I'm just gonna, download this, see what happens. She had just got out of a 10-year relationship with a woman, and she says, I dated everyone in my city. I know everyone. It's a small community, and so there wasn't really anyone else really to date. Her partner had cheated on her, and it was, horrible. She was also a COVID-19 frontline nurse. And she said 2020 was the worst year of her life. She was coming home, literally crying every night. People were dying, and she couldn't do anything to help. I mean, she did what she could, but out of her control. Anyways, she downloads S'more, and she meets this woman, Allison. And Allison was actually in Nebraska. She was married to a man for about 12 years, had 3 children. And she got out of that relationship because she realized that she was actually not heterosexual, that she was living a different type of a life, and she was really attracted to women. She downloaded S'more, the first app that she's ever used in her entire life. And within 3 days, she met Tracy. So Tracy and Allison met on our app. What was cool about this was that the woman from Nebraska, also a nurse, so we also checked for compatibility, also a frontline nurse for COVID-19. They met on our app. Within 3 months, they were engaged, and they just got married. So it's super cool.
Wow.
S'more's for everyone, so LGBTQ or heterosexual or anything in between. But it's such a cool story. So, very, very proud of that.
So, I'm sure there's be a lot of single people watching this interview.
Yes.
So let me ask the question, is there hope out there? And clearly, it sounds like it.
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes when you are stressing yourself out, I think especially women, people who identify as women, stress themselves out when they're trying to find a compatible match, because when you're thinking about children, the world pressures you, the media pressures you. I think when you own yourself, when you own who you are, you're most confident. And when you're least expecting it, you end up meeting someone in the real world. What I will also say is, for people that really are focused on finding that special person, if you get a professional matchmaker, it could be free, it could be inexpensive. So check out Talkify for sure. It provides a whole different level of service. You never in a million years understood potentially why you're single. And they sit down with you and they sort of become one of your best friends.
Chasten Buttigieg is speaking out against hateful rhetoric in the latest issue of The Advocate. Buttigieg has been married to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg since 2018, making Pete one of the most visible LGBTQ plus figures in America. In the article, Buttigieg dives into his upbringing in northern Michigan and how it shaped him into the person that he is today. He tells The Advocate that hate is much easier than work compared to spreading love. Visit theadvocate.com for the full interview. And that's all the time we have for this Advocate today. You can visit us wherever you stream. I'm Aaron Dean, and we will see you next time.